When one of these clowns says raising the minimum wage kills jobs, it's a scam, it's a con job.
If Nick Hanauer is looking for a con job, he should go back and rewatch all of his videos on the minimum wage, including this one. This short, oversimplified video tries to make viewers think that Seattle's new $15 minimum wage law for workers is nothing but a benevolent gift to Seattle's economy.
If I thought that raising the minimum wage was the best way to help people increase their pay, I would be all for it, but it isn't.
Saying that minimum wage increases have historically increased employment is sort of like saying that me cheering at the top of my lungs at a football game caused my team to win. Yeah, maybe my team won, but was my cheering really the cause? Probably not. The effect of a minimum wage hike on the overall labor market is usually marginal when other factors that have a greater effect on it are considered. When you think about it, only 3% of the workers in the U.S. actually make the minimum wage, so it can be expected that most of the labor market will remain largely unaffected by traditional upticks to the minimum wage.
In Seattle, we raised the minimum wage a lot. The people running all the big restaurant chains in Seattle said that they would have to close their restaurants. So a year and a half later, the restaurant business in Seattle turned into one of the biggest restaurant industries in the country.
Notice that Hanauer did not say the restaurant industry hired more workers. He only said that the restaurant industry in Seattle turned into one of the biggest restaurant industries in the country. It might come as a surprise to Hanauer, but businesses can still grow without increasing or even maintaining their present labor force. Many other factors can contribute to robust growth. Not only that, but Seattle's minimum wage law hasn't even been fully implemented yet. The $15 minimum wage won't be required until 2021. Again, this goes back to the earlier pie chart where they talked about minimum wage hikes somehow being responsible for job growth. The hospitality and leisure industry employs a wide range of jobs, both skilled and unskilled, and most of these jobs pay above the minimum wage already. I added "and leisure" to the industry description because the study which this video references calls it exactly that. So it's really no surprise that minimum wage hikes have had a marginal effect on the labor market across that industry.
When restaurants pay restaurant workers enough so that even they can afford to eat in restaurants, it turns out to be pretty good for the restaurant business.
This is a ridiculous leap of faith to believe that restaurant businesses are in better shape because they're forced to pay out more money to thousands of workers, some of whom may now be eating periodically at restaurants. If it really was that easy for the restaurant to increase revenue, don't you think the restaurant owner would be doing it already? Do you really think that politicians have greater insight into finding success in the restaurant business better than the restaurant owner? Besides the traditional demand-side fallacy that workers create jobs, the relatively minuscule number of restaurant workers benefiting from Seattle's wage hike who are, in turn, cycling that money back into restaurants as patrons could really only be a marginal effect.
The overwhelming majority of economists now believe that raising the minimum wage isn't this cataclysmic job killer.
Well, he's right about that. The minimum wage is not a cataclysmic job killer, and most economists probably do agree with him on that. But it's still a job killer. In practice, it amounts to little more than mandatory unemployment. So in Seattle's case, if a worker isn't able to produce $15 per hour of value for an employer, it is essentially illegal to give him a job. The minimum wage reduces entry-level job opportunities for young and unskilled workers. Sort of like cutting rungs off the bottom of a ladder.
The truth is that when wages go up, so do jobs.
This is just more repeating of the same fallacious assumption that the minimum wage is directly responsible for job growth.
The claim, if wages rise, employment will fall, is best understood as an intimidation tactic.
Intimidation tactic? Says the guy who cheers on the government for putting guns to the heads of Seattle restaurateurs to force them to pay some politician or activist's arbitrary idea of what's fair. Yeah. Okay.
Masquerading as an economic theory.
Share this video if you believe we should abolish the minimum wage.